can say this about season 4. It is going to be so worth the wait.
Nowhere, actually.
A wrecking machine. I'll take it.
I'm still figuring out my own style, Mark, actually.
It was great.
It took 2 minutes and I had to answer, yeah, go for it.
Are you sure you're not interested? I was like, don't ask me again. I can't refuse that twice.
In Holland, in one country.
She got me so deep and underwater and I drank it. That's not good.
You'll try chocolate from South Africa to Australia to England. It will taste so different.
So it's been really amazing that it's been with you after 10 long years.
The first title we were messing around with, we were going to call it Lockdown. And then after a while, we actually kind of realised, God, this is dragging on a lot longer than what we thought it was going to be.
I didn't want to give people a reminder.
Our bass player has a band. We were like, let's go on the road, man. But and then it just came to a screeching halt.
We had to work on like how I was biting the carrot. Like I had to do it very purposefully, you know? You didn't want a weak bite, but you didn't want a bite that was too strong.
Someone jumps the stage and one of our techs just body slams him to the ground and you can see me kick him.
I guess I was too distracted. I was having too much fun. Never a bad thing.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, shut up. Hello.
Hello, Mark. This has been a really great week of live streams for me. I was considering my week to start on Sunday, kind of following the calendar. And I now have a live stream on Sunday at 8 p.m. coming up. And I also have one next week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those are all confirmed. And if you'd like to know what those are, please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first. And then a few of those things get migrated over to Facebook, but not everything. So some things are definitely exclusive to Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, if you could please do so, I'd really appreciate that. It helps out with every subscription that I get. And if you could also like this live stream video, that's also appreciated. If you're on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, that's also appreciated. That also helps get my viewership up. And if you're so inclined, in a position to do so, there's always a PayPal me link in the description of every YouTube live stream video that I have on my channel. It actually looks like this, so I could help you out a little bit. And that's only if you're so inclined and would like to help support what I do and just basically make everything better. Everybody knows that I've been using well, not everybody, but people that have been watching these know that I use my phone for these. At some point, it'd be nice to upgrade to a laptop. Although the phones work really well, I don't want to knock it, but you kind of get the idea that there's things I always would like to improve. This nice little tripod that I have now, which is much better than what I used to have, the backdrop stuff that I work on. So all the tips that I get go right back into what I do. And again, that's only if you're so inclined and feel like you'd like to. And it's the hyperlink's always in the YouTube description. So take this off so you don't have to keep looking at it. And yeah, that's what I have coming up. I have a ton of film things that I'm working on. The Milwaukee Film Festival is in its second week right now. So I'm credentialed as a member of that. So I've got more films to watch and review. And there's a bunch of things that I'm working on for next week beyond the things that I just mentioned that are still going back and forth with publicists and managers and all that. So a lot of exciting things coming up, but I'm really excited about my interview today. So let's get to that. My guest today is an amazing vocalist and musician from Chile. Her band Chaos Magic has released 2 albums with a third on the way, which hopefully we'll hear something about. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Caterina Nix. Hi, Caterina.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you. This is great that we could get this together and we can talk about your career and everything you have done so far and also what's coming up. So let's kind of start with some of the newer things and maybe kind of work our way back. I understand that there is a third album for Chaos Magic in the works. Is there anything that you can kind of talk about at this point, or is it too early to tell?
Yes, we are almost ready with the writing. It's been very hard, because of the situation with the COVID. We've been on lockdowns, we've been with curfews. So it's been very hard to just get together and do something. So just the process has been a little bit harder. But all this energy is being turned into music anyway. So yes, I would say that we are keeping our sound, but it's a little bit more amplified. It's a little bit different, but it's I would say it's stronger and more intense. So it has a little bit of a different flavor, but we keep the essence of Chaos Magic, like what we achieved on View Reborn.
Okay, so it sounds like you're taking that foundation of Fury Born and adding more elements to it, then, and kind of expanding things.
Exactly. That's I think that's been the idea since we started writing, and also, the energy that surrounds you always. It's an element you take to make music, and that's very important for me because I've seen musicians that have to do music because they have to meet requirements of a contract or something. And it's so different when you put your heart and your soul and your experiences into the music. And nowadays, even it's been a hard task to just get together and make music, we have that energy in our hearts. And that shows when you listen to what you're doing, and it's going to show when we finish the product, hopefully.
Okay, yeah, and that makes perfect sense. That especially during this time, I think a lot of this, a lot of the feelings people have had during this time, it's really getting channeled into their art. And so, like you mentioned the word amplified, I can totally see that because of what's been going on and how it's been really difficult for the band to be able to get together and write and do anything else like that, that it's really going to just put this extra oomph to the new album, basically.
Yes, and at first I wasn't even connected with my emotions. Like, everything happened so fast. We came back from our tour with Visions of Atlantis, and almost a week after that, the borders closed and things got really serious. And from then, we've been probably like a year in our homes, and we haven't been able to see each other. I mean, it's two of us who work on the writing and the music. It's me and our producer Nason, and we haven't been able to get together. And we've been doing everything through Zoom, and I think the results are going to be great because of that, because of how hard it has been. So, but it's a different type of great.
That's a really good way to put it. A different type of great. I totally know what you mean. That you got really high expectations for the new album and new music, but at the same time, getting there was a whole different way to get there because of the other circumstances.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I think there's, especially here in America, there's probably quite a few newer fans to you and people that are going to be watching this that want to learn more. So I'm just curious about strictly your music background by yourself before Chaos Magic became a project, became a band, everything else. So, like, were you studying music as a young child? What kind of things are in your background musically?
Well, I was interested in music since forever. I've always been like a musical person, but I started having bands when I was about 14, 15. And before that, they always made me sing in the choir, and they sent me to the school mass to sing. But I've always liked rock, and I've always liked metal. I mean, ever since I was like 14, 15, like in that stage of your life, it's when the music hits you the hardest, and it starts to be like the soundtrack of your life, and that the kind of music that you listen to when you are in your adolescence sticks with you and sort of forms your character, so it's a very potent and very strong feeling, for musicians and people who feel that connected with music. So yeah, I had several bands growing up, but I would say that the most important one was Agonia. we started as a Nightwish tribute band, and then we realized that we could do our own songs, and we released an album on 2008 called Oxygen, independent, and it got really good reviews and kind of opened the door for us and for me, for what my solo career would be later on.
Okay, yeah, I know. I went through. I was kind of looking through some of the previous things that you've been a part of, and it's interesting how it sounds like. Because initially, I'll be honest, I was a little confused. I'm like, is this her band? Is it is she a part of Chaos Magic? What is this? And as I kind of went back, I said, oh, okay. Especially like when Timo got involved and when you met him, and then that kind of spun things into your solo career, and then Chaos Magic became really its own thing with the second album. But can
exactly.
Can you how did you meet Timo again? How did that whole thing happen?
It was autograph signing thing, and I just approached him like, hi, I really like your music, I make music too, and we just started talking like two people in the world, and we became friends. And I told him, you know what, I'm going to send you my material, and I hope you like it, and maybe we can just do something together, maybe in the future. I had a lot of faith in myself. I was talking to him like, yeah, hi, whatever. And I've always been like that with other fellow musicians. As much as I admire them, it's in my experience, I don't think they like to be seen as gods. You know, they prefer to be approached as normal people, and that has been really great, you know, in my experiences with famous artists. So yeah, time after that, like a really long time after that, years after that, he told me, you know what, we're finally going to have the chance to work together, because Frontiers Records, it's the record company I'm working with right now, they were looking for a female vocalist to have a project with Timo, and this project was going to be produced and written by him, and they chose me for the part. And that's how Chaos Magic was born. It was born as a project, like a solo project, by Timo, and I was part of it, like a guest, I would say. But after Timo, I wouldn't say he left. He just had health problems, and he couldn't continue with the project. So I approached Frontiers Records, and I told them, you know what, I have my own material. Maybe you'll be interested in listening to these things. So I sent a few demos, and they were like, yeah, we love this. And they offered me a contract. And that's how we continued with the Chaos Magic project. The Chaos Magic project, it's basically owned by them. So that's why it is featuring Caterina Nix. You know, it's sort of like a legal kind of thing. But yes, we're still going strong with it.
Okay, that's fascinating to me about some of the things, and thank you for sharing all of that, because I think having been a fan for so many years of music myself, and then when I started moving to the media side of things, you're absolutely right. Any of the musicians that I've met in person, that it's always the case of if you just talk to them like a regular person, they love that. If you start like, you know, getting all crazy and, you know, fanboy or fangirl about them, it just makes them uncomfortable for the most part.
And maybe on the inside, I was like, oh my God. But on the outside, I was like, poker face.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember one time I was with some friends, and we saw Charlotte Wessels from Delane. She was hanging out after her show. And I'd met Charlotte a few times. So I said, hey, Charlotte. And she just turned around, didn't realize who it was until she saw me. And she said, oh, hey. And she was talking to me. But my friend was telling me afterwards, she's like, you were so like casual and just said, hey, Charlotte, you know, like she was your best friend, or like you see her all the time or something. I'm like, well, that's how I approach everybody. Because again, you don't want to like make somebody, you know, feel awkward or embarrassed or nervous.
Exactly.
Or,
yes.
And you're right though. Inside, you're kind of like all who you're meeting. And but you mentioned, you know, that you were with several bands, and that there's yourself and the producer that write the songs now for Chaos Magic. So do you also play an instrument then when you write, or how do you kind of do your writing?
I always start with a melody in my mind, in my head. Like I start humming, or something comes to my mind and I take it from there. I wouldn't say I play guitar or keyboards, but I can play a few chords and just have a structure. You know, I can exteriorize what I have in my mind. So that's the way we work. I come up with a melody, with lyrics, with rhythms, with chords, and well, Nason is the one who does all the other work, basically. Makes all the music and the demos and everything, the arrangements. And well, those things, we have to discuss them, of course.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a collaboration. But you're bringing the vocal and the melody pieces and kind of knowing in your head maybe like how something should work, and then he's doing the other pieces and the music and the demo part of it, and just kind of putting it all together. And then you have your chaos magic.
Exactly. That's the idea.
Well, that's cool. And I'm just curious. Sometimes we get questions about who are some of your vocal influences for you personally.
Well, you know, when I started with Agonia, I was listening to a lot of Evanescence, Within Temptation, Lacuna Coil, like this big famous female-fronted bands. And I would say I absolutely have influence from that era. That, as I was telling you, it sticks with you. But besides that, I've had both classic and pop vocal training. And you get the influence of your teachers too. I've had a teacher. She's very good, but she's an opera singer, and she helped me through tons of like issues that I had with my voice. And it's very important for musicians to be comfortable with what they do and with what they want to achieve. And for vocalists, it's very, very useful and very necessary to have a voice coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I played guitar for many years, and I had two different guitar teachers, and I've kind of talked about this, where one of them was really closed-minded, and I didn't learn that much from him. But then the second one was completely the other way around. He's open-minded, very encouraging about things, and trying to help me improve. And that's where I really started to blossom as a guitar player. And especially for voice, if you don't know how to take care of your voice and do things properly, you basically won't have a voice if you keep singing professionally in any kind of band, because you're just going to ruin it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, very important to have not only a vocal coach, but the right one.
Yes, I've come across. I had a teacher once that she couldn't teach me anything. We just didn't click, and it happens. And when something like that happens, you need to find your right match, because you have to take care of your voice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's unfortunate, depending on what age you are, when you start taking lessons from somebody for any instrument, not just voice, you may not know. You might be staying with somebody for a while because maybe that's your first teacher, and you're thinking, well, I don't really think I'm learning much from them, but you don't know any better, so you just keep doing lessons until finally you get to a point like, I don't think I'm learning anything, plus I'm paying this person, so I should try to find somebody else or do it myself, or both, one of the two.
Yes, and it's so very important to just enjoy that experience too.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, musically, or actually, anything in life, really, it's like, why are you even doing it then? I mean, after a while, it's like there should be something else you could do.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially with music, like, because music, it's so close to your feelings and to your emotions, like, and you don't want negativity in this little world you have with you and your music.
Yeah, very well said. And I think, especially during this last year, that's been something where people can channel a lot of their feelings into their music and hopefully carry something positive with it. And I know for myself as a fan, anytime bands have decided to put something out during the last year, even if they say, well, maybe we should wait till things open up or whatever, it's like it's been such a nice breath of fresh air for the fans to say, oh, there's a new album from so-and-so, there's a new video, there's a new something, because then there's some hope.
Yes, and absolutely, fans are thirsty for new music, because, as you say, it gives them hope. They just hope that with the new album they're listening to, there's going to be a tour, there's going to be live shows, there's going to be something relating to that music.
Absolutely, and yeah, all of the above. If there just tells you that somewhere down the line, I might be able to see them on a stage, playing this song, playing this album. I'll be around my fans again, and that whole communal experience that happens at a concert or any live event. And like we were talking pre-show, at least up here in Seattle, it seems like we're taking a step closer to that. So I'm very excited that maybe by fall I'll be able to do what I was doing pre-pandemic, where I'm in a photo pit, or I'm at the opera, or I'm at the ballet, or I'm at a theater, opening night, and just enjoying that whole experience that's been gone for 14 months now.
Yes, hopefully things seem to be moving the right direction, at least over there. Here's not the same story. Not at all.
Yeah, hopefully things start to improve down there for where you guys are. Like we were talking pre-show, it sounds like it's a bit slower going than it is up here, but you'll get there eventually. I mean, you have to. Yes,
it's the natural evolution of things, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious that how has being a mom for the last few years changed your approach to your music?
Well, it has changed pretty much everything in my life. I don't know how it changed my music, because I keep on writing about the same things. I mean, my experiences, the things that I see around me in the world and everything. But it has given me a new approach to love, because I've never loved like this. And it's such a powerful emotion. And I haven't written about it yet, because I think it's really intimate between my baby and me. It's like, this is ours. And it's fine. It's fine to have an emotion that you want to keep for yourself, and just to have an intimate relationship with it and not share it with anyone. Although everyone knows that I love him more than anything, but that's how music works, and that's how emotions work. Me and my baby, we are each other's world. And yeah, it changed my life, and I'm happy he's here, and he's happy to have me as a mother.
Well, that's really beautiful. I love hearing that, and I'm really happy for you. And it's really smart that you're deciding that we have this special relationship that's ours, and that for right now at least, we want to keep it that way. We want to keep this as part of what we have, and not just put it out there for the whole freaking world to look at or comment on or anything on this whole social media world. So it's great that something like, what, this bond is our bond, and maybe down the road I'll write a song about it or something, but right now this is our thing.
Exactly. And well, another a thing that I would like to say about motherhood is that it's important to keep your essence and keep just going to your goals, and just don't get the label of just being a mom. That has helped me through lots of times, and it helps me to keep focus on what I want from my life, from my careers. And I know that is positive for him too, seeing mom and happy and thriving and doing what she loves, without of course neglecting him. But I know that so many moms struggle with this, because they feel guilty, that if they do something for themselves, they're neglecting their child. And it's not like that. It's healthy to be focused and to keep on going with your career, because in the end it's going to be better for both of you.
That's very, very well said. I used to work as a teacher a long time ago, back when I had hair. So I've worked with a lot of families over the years, and you definitely see this. There's a huge amount of guilt, especially if it's their first child, where they feel like everything needs to be about them. And initially, maybe it does, but then at some point, that doesn't mean that you completely sacrifice yourself for that for the next 18 plus years. It means you got to find a balance.
Of course, and it's not nice to see yourself as just a sacrifice for another person. You have to see yourself as someone who is getting nutrition from another person and giving nutrition to someone else, you know, with your energy and with the things you do every day for them, because it will become a two-way street eventually. I mean, when they're little kids, of course you are there for them the entire time, and you give. But believe me that later in life you start receiving.
Again, very well said. It's got to be something where, and you said it especially earlier about you're really trying to show your child, you know, as a role model, that if I'm happy by doing these things, it could be music, it could also be being your mom, it could be, you know, doing some other kind of things that bring you joy, then that's going to really set an example for your child of like, oh, this is what I should be doing when I'm that age, when I'm considered an adult, and not just kind of pigeonhole myself into one role. And especially if you're not happy in that role, because it's like, well, then it's going to affect everything around you. So you want to be, you want to be positive, you want to be collaborative and looking towards forward. And Steve, thanks for joining us from Texas. Good to see you again. No problem that you've been busy. I totally understand that, but I'm glad that you're here today to see this interview with Caterina. And you can obviously, you can always look at the channel later when you have time down in Texas. But again, thanks for joining us. But yeah, I think that word, especially during this last year and some change, people trying to find balance, and we had to shift that balance because everything around us shifted. Now you're home all the time. Maybe your kids can't go to school. They have to be homeschooled or, you know, doing virtual things. And it's like, so how do I figure this out and still retain my sanity? Goes back to balance.
Exactly. And well, yes, being home all day long with a 2-year-old. I know it's hard. And I understand. But there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you mind if I ask, but your English is really, really impeccable. And I'm curious, is that common down there, or did you study somewhere? Or I'm just curious about your level of English is really, really good.
Thank you so much. Well, I attended an English school. So yes, they taught us very well. And I've always liked English, so I was like a little bit nerdy with it, always hanging with my dictionary, but because back then we didn't have internet, so.
Yeah, imagine that, kids, the rest of the time when the internet didn't exist.
Yes, you needed a dictionary.
Yeah, I remember those days. I remember the days before smartphones and, you know, the internet and all kinds of, you know, streaming music. That didn't exist, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a romantic feeling about it, you know, because we would go to stores and look for cassettes and just share our copies of cassettes. And, you know, I think there's nostalgic energy there that I really, really like. I still have so many of those cassettes.
That's awesome. And I always, it brings a smile to my face when I'll look through like someone, like a band's social media, and I'll see like they have a new album coming out, and I'll see like a cassette version. I actually just saw that today, that there's a cassette version coming out of this one band, a death metal band. I'm like, oh, that's really cool that that's starting to, you know, take hold a little bit more, because vinyl's been taking hold for a while now, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't know if cassettes would come back, and now I'm starting to see those. I'm like, oh, cool. I still have a cassette player right over here to my left. So, oh my gosh. But and then, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have a background in law? Is that what I read somewhere?
Yes, I'm a lawyer.
Okay, and is that okay if we talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What area of law do you practice?
I actually work on liability, but for an insurance company. So I subscribe policies. I'm an underwriter.
Got it. And what drew you to that field? I'm just curious.
Oh, just I really liked that particular field, and I started working on an insurance company as a translator. So everything just matched, and I was called for an adjusting company. And then I was called for this other job, and I've been in this area for about 10 years or so.
Oh wow!
Yes, so I don't go to court. I don't like that.
Okay, yeah. So you're not a trial lawyer.
No.
You're working with claims and underwriting, and okay, and so that could actually come in useful when you're on the road, like if you get into an accident or something.
I know who to sue.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm kind of laughing because there's the band that started this for me to do these virtual interviews a year ago. Their drummer is an ER physician, and so I'm kind of
excellent.
Yeah. When he first told me that, I was like, did I hear that right? So I mean, I started kind of making half of a joke, saying that you could be playing a show in a club, and someone's having like an episode, and they said, "Is there a doctor in the house?" I said, yeah, the drummer, he's a doctor.
Our guitar player is a cardiologist.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but on tour he's useless. I'm sorry. No.
No, I know you're
joking. I'm joking.
But if someone
he was actually pretty useful because one of our tours, I was 7 months pregnant, and I was feeling great, and I decided I would go to this tour anyway. And he was by my side all the time and always checking on me and making sure I was perfect.
Well, yeah, that's good. And then every doctor has to have their basic foundational pieces of care and how to. They may not have done some of those things for a while, but at least they still know what they have to do before they specialize in, like in his case, with heart work and cardiology work. But that's a nice boy. So we've got a lawyer and a cardiologist in the band. That's amazing. I bet you no one would ever guess that either when they just see you rocking out on stage.
That's right. Yes, they don't imagine because, you see this badass metal people, but it's all a fantasy, I would say.
Well, and like we were talking about before, where people just musicians just like to be approached as regular people, and you kind of find out things about them when you do talk to them as a person, a person in a band. They say, "Oh yeah, for my day job, I work as this, or I work as that, or I used to do this kind of thing before we went full time with the band." And you find all kinds of interesting things about people's backgrounds and what they like to do. And Steve, the music is really good. If you like anything that's related to like Nightwish or Within Temptation or the symphonic thing, there's really a lot of things that Frontiers puts out. You'll like Chaos Magic, and you can definitely check things out after we're done with the interview. He's just kind of wondering what your music is like, and he's not too interested in the lawyer stuff.
Me neither.
But I was also kind of curious that I believe, at least virtually, you're the first Chilean guest I've had on. So what's the music scene like down there?
Well, the rock and metal circle, it's not very friendly, I would say. It's complicated to explain because when you bring Iron Maiden, when you bring Megadeth, you would have crowded stadiums, but when Chilean bands play, there's very little interest in the local product. And that's a problem because there's a lot of talent here. I've met really great musicians, great producers, great singers, and they all have wonderful products to show. And it's very sad that they are not being taken seriously here. So it's like a love-hate kind of relationship, because I do have my fans here who I love deeply. But then you still have people who just want to see you fall. And that doesn't happen in other countries, and definitely doesn't happen in Europe.
Right. That's really unfortunate. I'm thinking just like here locally in the Seattle scene that it's a really, really supportive scene, regardless if you play rock, metal, folk, pop, whatever you do. That's a really supportive scene around here, and they want to see you do well and get you onto bigger shows and that kind of thing. So that's unfortunate that the locals down there, well, some of the locals, I don't want to disparage everybody, but some of them haven't subscribed to that fact that, hey, you got some really talented people locally, you should support them.
Yes, it would be great if that happened, but That's why we have just toured 4 times Europe instead of touring here or playing more over here, because it's obviously more lucrative. And well, in Europe you have like the core of this kind of music. That's where it was born, and you have a very rich scene there. So it was, we were not expecting this, but when we got there, we were received so well every time, especially in places like Romania, the Ukraine. People are so warm and they are so welcoming. And it's like the opposite of what happens here locally, you know, because when we have played opening for bigger bands like, I don't know, Nightwish or Within Temptation, they are very excited about the international band, even though the local band is good, is great.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know how many local bands I've seen, and I understand the mentality from a fan point of view. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, I just got off of work, so I'm gonna go eat and have a drink, and then I'll go see, the headliner kind of thing. I'll skip the local bands." But from a media side of thing, I always get there to catch all the bands because I know there's talent here, and I don't care if there's 5 people watching you at that time. And here's the flip side of this whole equation is that sometimes fans don't realize that someone from media is watching you. So it's like, give it your all. It doesn't matter if there's people, in the audience. Make sure you're giving 100% because someone's watching you that you have no idea. It's probably going to be writing about you in the review, and it could be really good, or it could be like, that band hit the stage and they didn't know what they're doing. They weren't rehearsed. That's unfortunately it's happened. I'll tell you the story that there is a local band who will remain nameless. They played, and I felt so bad for them because they had to start like at 5 p.m. Super early. And I was one of the people there. And after the show, they were going around handing out free CDs to people, and they didn't give one to me. And I was just, and I'm not anything special. I'm not trying to say that, but it's kind of like, of all the people you don't give one to, it's like the media person is sitting here.
Yeah.
So I actually went over to their table and said, "Hey, I saw you guys handing stuff out. Do you happen to have one more of this?" "Oh yeah, we got a whole bunch." And I explained who I was, and that's like, "Oh my gosh, here, you want 2? Do you want 3?" Like, I just need one. That's great. I just want to give it a listen. I like what I heard on stage and all that. So, but it's hard depending on who you are. Sometimes people they're great on stage, but they're really more introverted off stage, so they don't feel comfortable trying to do that kind of stuff. But I'm just looking forward to the point where I can actually be back in those venues and people doing that kind of thing anyway. Bring you back.
Yeah, we miss it so much. And you know what? I miss being on stage and backstage too, and just meeting the fans and signing the CDs and talking to them. I really love that part of this activity. It's vital to have the feedback of the people who are watching you.
Absolutely, and it becomes those things that hopefully at some point down the road that you'll get a chance to play some shows in the U.S. And if you spend a little bit of time at the merch booth, then you're going to be planting those seeds along the way for the next time you come back, and the next time you come back, and your audience just starts growing and growing and growing.
Yes, I'm so looking forward to that. I would love to play in the U.S.
And this is a great time because all of those bands that you mentioned, that you have been in a band that started off as a Nightwish tribute. Nightwish is huge here. Within Temptation's huge here now. Delane was huge here. But all those types of bands, and they're getting chances to tour as packages, and they've been here for, gosh, I saw Nightwish in 2005 here the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, so they made a lot of inroads. So bands like yourself could definitely come here and get onto a package, and you'll get well received because people like that kind of music here now. We finally caught up to Europe.
Well, that sounds amazing. And yes, it's definitely in our plans when everything gets a little bit normal.
Yeah, hopefully soon. But I also want to talk about, you have a couple of new things that you've done some vocals on, and one is with Timo's Avalon. I know that you're part of that. So can you kind of speak to like what song you sang on and what that whole project was or is?
Well, it was a very, it was like a surprise. They told me, "Hey, do you want to be on Timo's new album?" And I hadn't even spoken to him about it before. So I absolutely said yes, and I jumped on board. And I didn't know until recently who were the other guests. And I was so surprised and so amazed and so grateful that I was going to share this album with these amazing artists. So yes, I'm also looking forward to the release. I think it's in June or July. I'm not sure. But yes, it was an amazing experience, and I still haven't heard the final product yet.
Oh, okay. So you'll get a chance to hopefully hear that before it gets released to the public this summer. But that's awesome. That there's a stellar lineup on that recording. So yeah, that's got to feel
Yes, and I
part.
have a duet with Britney Slays. Oh my God, my inner fangirl. Oh.
And yeah, Brittany's awesome, and she's right up north from Seattle, where she lives. So that's really cool that you get a chance to duet with her. And then, can you explain to me what is the Somber Wind project? I know you've been posting about that a bit too.
Yes, well, it's very different from what I do with Chaos Magic, and it's actually not my music. I'm not writing there, but it started out as a collaboration, just singing a couple of songs with my friend Marco Usato, who is I would say a gothic icon here in Chile. And I loved the aesthetic and the vibe of this music, because if you listen to Somber Wind, you'll see that it's a very goth rock inspired in I would say like Sisters of Mercy, that kind of it has that kind of vibe. And I really liked it, and he really liked what I was doing on those couple of songs, and he said, "Hey, why don't you just stay and we make this a project of for both of us?" And I was happy to. And he's very, very serious about it, and very hardworking. So the results are very pretty. The new video, it's really well done, and it has this gothic vibe that I like so much. So even if it's very different from what I do generally with my own music, I really love it, and I love where it's going, because it is released through a label, but I think it's going to great places. And it's definitely better than being like an independent band, which is, it started as an independent band, and then we were signed by a label.
Okay.
Sleazy Writer.
Okay, I'll definitely look more into that, because how you describe that sounds like something that's right up my alley. I love Sisters of Mercy, and I love The Cure and Bauhaus and Joy Division and all those kind of bands that sound they influenced this. So yeah, I can't wait to actually. Did you have to change anything with your vocal style to fit that type of music, or do you just sing how you normally sing and then it just kind of worked?
He actually liked the fact that I was bringing my own thing to it. It's not what you would typically hear in a goth rock band, regarding the female voices. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of fresh for him, and he really liked it, and he just said, keep on going, keep going. Keep doing that.
Well, that's even better. Than that means you can do what you do best, and it seemed to work with the music that he was writing. So then everybody wins. Then.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and in the end of the day, that's what matters.
Absolutely. So, as we said, there's tons of question marks over everything. But as we kind of wrap this up, Caterina, is there anything else that's coming up that you'd like to talk about, or kind of let the fans out there know is coming in the next X amount of months?
Well, yes, I'm involved in the Vivaldi Metal project. It's an amazing project. They already released one album, and they are about to release the second one. And please check it out, because they have amazing guests, world-class musicians, and you will probably recognize most of them. So I would definitely recommend people checking VMP, Vivaldi Metal Project. And of course, Timo Tolkki's Avalon, coming in July. Chaos Magic, third album. We have a name, but we can't reveal it yet. Well, Summer Wind, we just released a new video. And I have a couple of other collaborations in mind, but I can't say anything yet. I'm sorry.
No, perfectly understandable. That sounds like you've been busy and you have more things coming up, which is fantastic to hear. That
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. There's another one that's been out there. It's another Timo Tolkki album. It's called Unión Magnética, and they have amazing guests too. So they have Ralph Cheapers, Jens Johansson, and you can look for it. They actually have a website, Unión Magnética.
Okay, there you go. It sounds like, again, you're super, super busy, which is great. And that means we're going to get a bunch of music, coming out in the next X amount of months and eventually get a new Chaos Magic, record as well. And Caterina, thank you so much for taking the time this evening. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I had a great time.
Awesome. Yeah. And hopefully once some of these other projects start to come out, maybe we can reconnect and do a part 2 and kind of talk about the new things as they come out sometime this summer.
I would love that. And hopefully with some dates in the US.
That would be even better. But until then, stay safe down there. And I hope I get a chance to talk to you again sooner than later.
Okay. Thank you so much. Take care, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.